Namaskar and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology Debunking Mythology. It's always our endeavor to debunk the fake theories propagated by vested interests and artificial intelligence, I would say, because these are not, they don't go by the facts. And oftentimes the universities do not tell the real fact because of the structure in which they are built. So, without delay, let us welcome our great friend and a great researcher. I would say that he's a modern rishi and scientist. Rishis were all scientists in the past. Rishis, so he is a Muni and a Rishi combined into one. So let us welcome Shri Nilesh Oak.
Namaskar, Aditya ji. If you call me Muni, then I will not able to have a conversation with you. I have to keep my mauna, no talking.
No, Munis were not quite. Narad
I'm
Muni was a
joking.
Muni.
Yes,
Munis were
I'm
not quite.
joking.
And I think we should do a next show on Rishi, Muni, and all these people because we need to
Yes,
define them.
yogi and Nagas. Yes, one time
Yes,
we'll do that
we
too.
need to do that show because people have the Muni means morning. No. Muni speak less, but when they speak, the world listens.
Mhm.
So they're like scientists. So this, when somebody used to call somebody as a Muni, it is much bigger than any Nobel laureate today. Nobel laureates are just political awards given by the Norwegian government, and we all know that we have very little relevance on the academics. Now, if they can give Obama a Nobel laureate, what is the use of the Nobel Prize now? So without delay, let us start with the atlas. We have seen all kinds of atlases, and atlas is also a mythological figure in the Greek mythology. But here we are talking about Sugriva's travels, and Sugriva's travel from India to Andes. And Bhagwan Ram also asked him one time. The Bhagwan Ram said, "How do you know?" So he said that when I was scared of Wali and I was running around, I had to go to all parts of the world. And that's how I traveled. And so Bhagwan Ram put him in search of Sita as well. So without delay, let us get started, Nilesh.
All right, namaskar to all. And we also have, as you mentioned, a Nobel laureate in the making, and in possibly in the field of genetics. So we'll talk briefly genetics, just a brief evidence, which might be exciting to him and something that he may want to follow. So we are going back. Want to take everyone, all our viewers, back in time, more than 14,000 years ago. Now, remember, as we go back in time, that's also true for the future, but the future is uncertain. But as we go back in time, a lot of things change from the geographical perspective, geography of the earth, because of the weather, because of the ice ages, because of the ocean water levels, and so on. And so the way we perceive our earth today in terms of geography or how we can access certain parts of the world was different at different times. And I'm going to take you specifically to the time of Ramayana. So that's going back to more than 14,000 years ago. And Aditya ji, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sharing so that I can
Yes, please
just
go
talk
ahead.
to the slide itself. Okay. So,
Yes,
all right. Let's see. All right. And let me know if when you okay, you see the slide now, right? Okay.
yes.
Yeah, very good. So Sugriva's atlas, and today we are going to look at only in the one direction. Okay, so that's direction in the east going from India to Andes. And but remember, keep it in mind, it's not in our times, it's 14,000 years ago. So just to give you a background, okay, we are looking at the time of Valmiki Ramayana, the timing of Ramayana. Valmiki was also contemporary to Rama, so they are talking of their own times. My research, 25 plus years of research, I have shown why the timing goes back to 12,209 BC, so more than 14,000 years ago, and that's sufficient for our today's discussion. Now, what happens if you remember the Ramayana story, and if not, I'm just going to take a small portion of it, that Sita has been taken away by Ravan, and Ram and Lakshman started searching for Sita. As they went in the south direction, eventually they end up meeting with Sugriv and Hanuman and the whole Sugriva's party. After that, at the behest of Sugriva, Rama kills Wali, Sugriva's elder brother, Okay, that's I would encourage all of you to read the Valmiki Ramayana story. And then that is the time of the beginning of a rainy season, the monsoon season. And so therefore they decide to take a break. I wouldn't show you the evidence today, but some other time I will show you the evidence as to how heavy the monsoon was 14,000 years ago. Okay, it was next to impossible to do the search. Of course, if required, people will do it. So they took a break of like 2-3 months, the heavy monsoon. And then Sugriva invites his all Vanara army. The Vanaras are human beings. Okay, and he divides them into 4 different parties, and that's what you are seeing here. Okay, so we have Sugriv here discussing Ram and Lakshman, and then the Vanara, so to say, depicted as divided into 4 parties, and they are sent in the 4 different directions. Okay, one party is sent with a Vinita as their leader, okay, Vanara leader, to the east direction. Another party is sent in the south direction, which is more likely the direction where Sita, because Ravana was in the south direction with respect to India. But Ravana was controlling a huge empire around the world. So it was not always clear where Ravana might have placed Sita. Okay. And that's why the idea to go in all 4 directions. Then another party went in the west direction, and the 4th party went in the north direction. So this is our structure for the next 4 episodes. So in the east, I'm saying what Sugriva knew, what Sugriva described, the geography of 14,000 years ago. Now the names are of course different, but with very good evidence, and this is not even the main objective of Valmiki Ramayana, but still it is amazing what a impressive evidence is embedded into Valmiki Ramayana, that we can put the dots, we can connect the dots, okay, and we can show that actually Sugriva knew the world from the India as a center, that perspective, from in the east direction all the way from India to Andes, in the west direction from India to Alps, in the north direction India to Arctic, and in the south direction India to Antarctica. It's a huge scope. We are only going to look at the east direction today. So just I'm giving you the high level summary. What we are going to find at the end of the four episodes on this Sugriva Atlas is that essentially Sugriva knew almost all of the world, okay? And if there is any area that he does not talk much about in this description, that's kind of the area of the Atlantic, okay? And North America, he doesn't talk about. And again, those people who are into geology or climatology, geography, they would know why he may not even talk about North America much in 14,000 years ago. And we'll get to that evidence too. Okay, but what I'm showing you, what I'm highlighting, with the exception of the Atlantic portion, Sugriva from the Valmiki Ramayana descriptions, based on Valmiki Ramayana descriptions, knew almost every other part of the world. Okay, so let's get into the east direction. So Aditya ji, so the leader there was a Vinata. Okay, and so so I'm going to show you that for our what do you call, possible Nobel laureate, okay, the one who is working on his Nobel laureate in genetics. This is a paper from Harvard, David Reichs and team. And what it is showing is that starting with India, there is a statistically significant genetic signal that people can find, that we find in our times, okay, based on a genetic study, that takes you all the way to South America, okay, through Indonesia, Thailand, Polynesia, all the way to South America and parts of Australia. Okay, so there is a genetic evidence. And the reason I show this slide is because if people get stuck, Aditya ji, and simply thinking, oh, but what was there 12,000 or 14,000 years ago, 12,000 BC, then they don't listen to what else is being told. So therefore I show this slide to show that there is actually sufficient evidence that the genetic connection was there. But the fact, if you look at the South America, the archaeological data for a human presence goes back to, for example, if you look at this site in Monteverde, and I think we have viewers in Chile, I'm sure, watching. So Monteverde in Chile, the human presence goes back to 33,000 BC. And as the more and more research comes up, actually this date gets pushed backward. For example, very recently I found a paper, not that long ago, maybe a month ago, in Panama, we have now evidence of human habitation, human presence going back to 50,000 BC. Okay, so it should not be a surprise at all. Okay, I mean, Columbus is not the one who found America. He might have found America for the Western Europe, but America was highly, heavily populated, great civilizations there. Okay, now much
Such a
of it is
great myth
lost.
has been peddled that before 2500 BC there was nobody living, and there
Correct.
was no civilization. I think that's the biggest atrocity on mankind.
Right. And much evidence, because of such, it was such a long time ago that much evidence is lost, but still we will be, I mean, we should be impressed with whatever is left, how impressive that is. Okay. And so now in that context, I'm talking about only 14,000 years ago. Okay, guys, only 14,000 years ago. All right. So let's look at this. Now, what I want to quickly show you, this is, I have my biological mom, again, for the benefit of our genetic would be Nobel laureate. That's my biological mom back in India. But what you see here is my, we in Sanskrit, we can call Manasa mom, like assumed, adopted mom. I mean, she has adopted me as a son and I'm adopted her as a mom. That's her name is Ushi Ringleb. She's a German American based in Toronto area. And she has spent time all around the world. I mean, she spent significant time, even at her age right now, 70 plus, in Polynesia. Okay, significant time, but she has been to India. She has been to practically, you name the place, and she has been there. Okay, amazing, amazing creative person, amazing artist, amazing researcher. Quickly, what I want to bring to your attention, this is with we with her like few years ago. That's me. That's my wife Ashwini. Okay, and the only reason I'm showing you this is Ushi has done a wonderful job. I would say preliminary study, because she just did it very recently, uh, on connecting the different languages of Polynesia with Sanskrit. Okay, so East Indian influence in Polynesian cultures through language. That's what she has done. Okay, and she published that in 2015, and we'll see the connection of that when we get there. All right, quickly, I mean, this is from September 2020, again showing the presence of human habitation in South America. So that should not be a question to anyone. The reason I'm showing this is because it has a connection with the east direction and Sugriva's description of east direction, starting with India, ending up with Andes. All right, so this is quickly introduction to my books. I will not spend time on this, except the book that is relevant for today's discussion is this book here. If you are in India, watching in India through Subbu publication, the book is called 12,209 BCE. If you are in rest of outside India, let's say rest of the world outside India, then the book that you are looking for, which is relevant to today, the Ramayana, is this historic Ram, the historic Ram, Indian civilization at the end of Pleistocene. Okay, so that's the book that you're looking for if you want to know more about Ramayana and Ramayana dating. Again, it's great on Amazon. It's available in Kindle, but I would encourage you, if you can afford it, go for a paperback, because it's a very technical research book, and it's a lot easy to read in paper rather than Kindle. But if you are very much into reading online, then go for Kindle, and that's perfectly fine. Here is my upcoming book, but I'll skip through that now. So
Can you show that upcoming book also one more time, please?
okay, yeah, so this is a Aditya ji, this is a, what you can say, working title, History
Yeah.
of Hindu Civilization. And my idea there is to follow the path of Saraswati, Mahasaraswati, okay, the river, go for 100,000 years. And when I conceived it, I thought I will only create a framework and leave it for other researchers, as more and more evidence comes, they can fill in the dots. And actually that will still happen. But what I'm also, I put it a bit on a slow finishing completion of it, because now so much evidence is coming so fast that goes beyond 24,000 years, that actually I'm trying my best to include some of that evidence into this book. So it's kind of a fight, when you I mean, how much you want to include, the scope versus getting it out. But it will come out. So don't know exactly when. Now again, what I'm showing you here, if you look very carefully, this is not the map of the world as we see today. In fact, just look at India for a second. That you see this, the Sri Lanka is connected to India here,
Yes.
uh, and there is no Gujarat the way we see, uh, the Bay of Cambay or nothing like this. It's all land. If you look at the Indonesia area, notice it's a continuous landmass without any the sea in between. And why is that? I'm showing you the land, approximate landmass of 14,000 years ago, because sea levels have gone down significantly. Okay, you can also notice the Florida here, how it looks and so on. Sea levels have gone down significantly, and they are down to 120 to 140 meters. Okay, and so the lot more land was available. Okay, we will not go into the reason why sea levels went down. We will discuss that at another time. Okay, in part of this series. So what I'm today going to show you is Sugriva discussing right from beginning with central India, let's say, going in the east direction through Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Papua New Guinea, Polynesia, all the way coming to the western part of South America, okay, to Andes, I mean, to Andes, of course, but to Chile, to Ecuador, to Peru, okay, all right. Notice here between Alaska and the eastern part of Russia, actually that was perfectly connected, that 14,000 years ago. Okay, so the land bridge was very well there. It's not just a small bridge. People could easily communicate back and forth, or easily could travel. Okay, all right. Same
Even in
thing.
the during the time of Mahabharat, Krishna, when he advises Yudhishthir
Hmm,
about Parshurams, he says the Nimna Koti Kshatriya went east, and
hmm.
so this bridge must be there even that time also. Very
Yes, because Parshuram is even before Rama.
correct.
Okay, and yeah, absolutely great point that you brought, Aditya ji. And maybe in not these 4 episodes, but some other time, maybe that, maybe we can give a highlight to viewers about that upcoming book some other time in future.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
I'll show you how far back we can go, and actually more and more land emerge for
Yes.
certain time. Yeah.
Yes.
If we go back too much far back, then again there was a high level ocean, but there was this time
Correct.
called LGM, the
Yes.
last glacial maximum, that lasted for many thousand years. Yeah, yeah, so that's a great point. And what I just showed you, that I'm just showing you here now, I am taking you back to Ramayana. Okay, so as
Okay.
Sugriva describes to this Vanara party, he's telling them what are some of the mileposts, what
Mhm.
you should look for. Okay, so he's telling them the milepost in terms of the geography. He's telling them the milepost in terms of geography, in the sense of
And this
rivers.
is
And
mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana.
this is mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana. In fact, the verses that you see in the Sanskrit,
Yeah.
in a Nagari
I can
script, of course.
easily, the moment I see Valmiki, I can recognize the Sanskrit.
Correct.
Priyadarshan.
Very simple Sanskrit also,
Very
right?
simple
Very,
Sanskrit.
yeah. So that is being built, right? I mean, so Sanskrit is also evolving in some sense, you can say. Very simple structure, Ramayana structure compared to Mahabharata.
The Mahabharata Sanskrit is more technical because Ganesh ji is writing it. You know who is writing it?
Correct, correct, correct,
More
correct.
sophisticated.
Right, right. And so the descriptions that are given are, Aditya ji, of a river, of a mountains. Sometimes it's the descriptions is given in terms of what are the things that are available there, like in terms of metals, in terms of food, in terms of animals. I mean, how beautiful. In terms of the people, like their dress sense and whatnot, is so that people, so that this Vanara party know they are going in the right direction. Now, they are also pretty savvy folks. So I'm not going to read this, but here what they are referring to is Samudram Avagadancha Parvatan Pattananicha. So go through the mountains, go through the oceans, it's saying, okay, different areas. And he is here describing different types of people they are going to encounter. I'll mention few briefly. Like he says, you'll see people whose ears are elongated, okay, they have come down, or their lips, okay, our lips are like ears, their lips are like ears, okay, or their mouths are like a iron, like as if like an iron face, like an
Yeah.
iron color, something like this, one footed, and so on and so forth. Or the people who eat raw fish. Now immediately that should remind us of a sushi, so like, going explaining in the east direction, people whose face looks like a nara vagra, okay, like a lion, or like a tiger, things like that. So that's what he's describing. Now what I want to show you, just to give you a flavor. Now we are going in the east direction. Even our times, these pictures are from our times, 14,000 years after Ramayana. Right now you go to, say, Papua New Guinea, it's a Jai Vijaya chief. He's called Jai Vijaya chief, by the way, for whatever reason. Okay, some similarity. Then you look at these different pictures, how they will decorate themselves. Okay, So sometimes when you see that, somebody may actually see as if their lips has come all the way down to their vest, because of the decorations they are wearing. But actually sometimes they did it. Like these are again from Papua New Guinea. Now Aditya ji, they can easily look like from India, some parts of India. they,
Right.
they are from they are from Papua New Guinea. Okay. Look at some different hairdresses from people, Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, these different islands. Okay. uh, this lady, Kayan, this Padang woman from Laos. And they artificially, if they artificially change their necks, elongate their necks right from the childhood. It's not considered very safe, from a health perspective, but that's what considered very beautiful. They do that. Remember I told you about the ears getting elongated, like literally this lady from Indonesia, the Dayak woman. The men also doing it, sometimes men adding appendages, artificial ones, like wig they will do in our times. Okay. The reason I mentioned that is it's important for people to understand that's how our Vanaras were when they were putting a tail.
Yeah.
That was a added appendage because it was useful for some purpose. This is going
No,
all the
and
way.
also one thing I want to add: there is nothing right
Please.
or wrong. There is nothing,
Not at
no
all.
judgmental things here. Like sometimes the European settlers called them evil. There are many movies made in Hollywood where calling
Mhm.
these kind of things as evil, which is not correct. Also,
Correct. They were
you
very
just
much
respect,
yeah.
yeah, what they are.
Correct. And in our context, what we find some funny things about
Huh.
them, if they would look at us, they would find it funny about
Funny.
us.
Yeah,
About us. Like,
just like most of the British,
yeah.
you and I are from Maharashtra. In
Hmm.
Sholapur, the British man will come and my grandmother will say, "Bahar cha," like he says, "Get out of here, sit outside."
Correct.
You know?
Exactly true. Yeah. So and so that's very natural, right? That you look at the
Exactly.
other and you may find something very funny, and but not realizing yourself. This man that I'm showing you here, something as if coming from his bottom of his face. This is from a Zoe tribe all the way in the east direction to Brazil, where what they do is actually they create a hole here. Okay.
Hmm.
Now we may suddenly say, oh, come on, what is that? Well, what about our piercing and tattoos in our times now, right? I mean, they
Hmm.
did tattoos and they did piercings,
Yeah.
right? And actually there is a wooden thing that they make of a certain wood, create a shape like this, and they put it from inside the mouth and it comes out hanging like this. The
Hmm.
whole Zoe tribe does that. Okay. So I'm
Ah.
just saying these all descriptions that are given in Ramayana, similar things you can find even in our times. Forget 14,000 years ago. We actually find these are there in our times. So it
Yeah.
should not surprise you. Many people say, oh, come on, where are these people? Because
Yeah.
people don't study anthropology. If they
Right.
study anthropology, they will find this. Or now
Right.
I'm taking this to Africa here. Remember, lips turning like a ear. You can
Hmm.
see those different things that they have done to their lips. This is from
Hmm.
our times. Okay. Or it's not just all the way Papua New Guinea that you have to go, or Indonesia. This is lady from one of the South Indian movie, Telugu movie, Super Machi.
Hmm.
Okay, and you can look at that lady there. Just I'm showing for the fun thing that it happens in our time. Now let's look at some other description. Remember, they are going in the east direction, and now they're talking of Thailand. Okay, they're talking of Yatnavanto Yavadvipam. Yavadvip is a Java, Indonesia. Saptaraja Upashobitam, and they're referring to 7 different kingdoms. Suvarna Ruptakam Dvipam, okay, the island of the gold. Suvarna Akara Manditam, okay, Yavadvipam Atikramya Shishiro Nama Parvata. Now they are talking about the metals, what of different metals are found. They're also talking about the different mountains that are seen, different lakes that are seen, and so on. Okay. So what are they referring to? And can we find evidence? Yes, we can find the evidence. This paper goes back to 2000 years. Huh? This is the evidence from 2000 years, the Roman times and whatnot. Okay, these wherever you see the stars these are the places where actually the gold was found. The gold mines existed. I'm not talking of now. Actually, now also exist. Indonesia has gold mines. I mean, all around the world, right? But that time the gold mine existed. There is a evidence of it. And I think Aditya we talked about it. The gold went by the name where it was found,
Exactly.
like a Jambunad, the Suvarna Ropyakam Dvipa gold. That's how they
Correct.
called it. Or we talked about the gold from Peru as Parujam, as a
Paruj.
reference in the Vedas and so on.
That's right.
So that comes here.
Also,
Okay.
the Mahabharat references
Hmm.
Saptadvipa, Saptasamudra, and 13 islands.
Hmm.
So the 13 islands separate from the 7 islands, main islands.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's those Mahabharata Deep, those islands should be even many other islands. I
Many
mean,
other
here,
islands also, right?
yeah, here Sugriv is only referring to 7 islands in the east
In
direction
the east direction.
as soon as they leave India.
Correct.
Okay. So that's what they have now. Just I'll not spend time on this, but just see today, even today, Indonesia, the in population wise, the biggest Muslim country, but you can still see whichever India that has become too much secular. These are some of the their what you call emblems for each of their islands. Jaya Raya, this is one of the island. This one is Kalimantan. See, North Kalimantan. Do you know how they say it? Kalimantan Uttara.
Correct.
Uttara. Okay. Then Bali Dvipa Jaya. This is the Bali Dvip. This is again another Java. Okay. And if you read this, you'll be fascinated. These are all
Prasetya
Sanskrit.
Ula Shakti Bhakti Praja.
There you go.
Amazing.
Shakti Bhakti Praja.
Shakti.
Okay. Yeah. And Papa Island, Papa New Guinea, Papa, not
Yeah.
Papa Island of Indonesia, Karya Swadhyaya,
Kare Swadhyaya.
right?
Amazing.
You must do your duty and the self duty, you should do your duty. That is what is referring
Swadhyaya.
to. Yeah.
Swadharma.
Swadharma.
Yes.
Or if you look for the entire Indonesia, that what it says, you can read and again interpret that, Aditya ji.
Bhinneka
Bhinne ka,
Tungala Ika.
yeah. Can you guess what that would be?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Tungal you may not understand, but Bhinne ka Eka. It's for Indonesia's emblem, unity in diversity.
Diversity. Bhinneka Eka.
Bhinne ka Eka, right? So I'm saying that culture has still survived, and then you can see the many mountains, many active volcanoes, and so on. Okay. Now I'm going to fast forward. In between, I mentioned a research work of Ushi Ringleb, who has shown that the languages of Polynesia are also connected back to Indian languages, Indonesian languages, and therefore Sanskrit languages. Okay. Now that might have happened. What she researched might have happened in last a few thousand years. May not go back to 14,000 years. But the point is, there was this communication and transfer going on. Much of the land was available. And now I'm quickly going to take you fast to the South America. Okay, there is very interesting reference. This is again from Valmiki Ramayana. He says, Tatra, he's saying, okay, keep on going in the east. Now you will see the Kshirodakshai Ocean, Shirodak Ocean, Kshirasagar, not Shirodakshai Ocean, Kshirasagar. Okay, that is the Pacific Ocean. He says, once you cross it, you are going to come to this area. And it describes a certain type of Rakshasa, Mandeha. And we discussed Aditya last time that Rakshasa is not always a human being or some big demon. That translation is wrong. Rakshasa is a word referred in a many cases. It is referred even to bacteria and viruses. Anyone that causes trouble in some way, or anyone that can even protect you. Just like there are good bacteria also. Okay, so anyone you can protect you. Rakshamiti Rakshasa. So one that protects you is also Rakshas, but that can also become stronger and can kill you too. So in this case, the name Rakshasa is used to a certain creature, and that creature is called Mandeha, and it is said that its color is like a color of a black stone. Okay, Tatra Shaila Nibha Bhima. Bhima means like big. Mandeha Nama Rakshasa. Shaila Shrungeshu Lambante Nana Rupa Bhayava. I'll quickly go the translation there. These are frightening Rakshasas called Mandehas of different forms, fearsome, hanging down the mountain peaks. And I think we have talked this before. Hanging down from the peaks, immediately what comes to mind, Aditya ji?
Bats.
Bats, right? Okay. And I think probably we have discussed this. And
And there are
Ramayana goes
huge
on to
caves. There are huge caves in Brazil where this happens today.
and Chile and Peru
Chile.
and Ecuador too, the whole South America. And the specific connection is this: the bats are all over the world, okay, but most of the bats are frugivorous. They depend on the fruits and nuts and whatever, whereas only the blood-sucking bats, the vampire bats, they are only in South America, and that is what this is being referred to. He says those Rakshasas keep dropping down in water at the time of sunrise every day, scorched by the heat of the sun. Again and again, they keep hanging on to the cliffs. And there are descriptions that they go after the animals, they go after the living beings. There are descriptions of that. So there are many varieties, 3, 4 varieties still existing, but there were many other varieties now became extinct in South America. The vampire bats can only be found in South America, and you can see, their skeleton, how powerful the jaws are. And actually, if you see the picture here, this is a picture of a vampire bat, the sucking blood from the pig. Okay, so it can just has a very powerful bite, and it can suck the blood. Okay, that's what that picture is. Now, somebody will say, come on, that's not enough evidence to show that, therefore, Sugriv is referring all the way to South America or to the Andes. Okay, I mean, yes, this sounds like a decent evidence, but do you have anything else? And actually, we do. You can consider this as a wonderful archaeology evidence. Okay, a physical structure that is there. This is known. This is on the west coast of Peru, near Paracas. Okay, so this is engraved into this colored, whatever bright colored rocks. Okay, it's approximately, I think I have a description. This is known there as a candelabra of the Andes, like a candle stand. That's what it is known. How beautiful the descriptions are.
So is this a permanent marking on the side of the mountain?
It is a permanent marking on the side of the mountain.
Awesome.
Yes. So, I mean, it is one of the things to see if you go to Peru, besides Machu Picchu and Nazca Lines and so many other. Peru is like very rich in the things to see. Amazing. Beautiful culture. Okay. So, yes. Actually, so I'm going to tell you, see, these are 2 to 3 feet, almost like, think of it like a close to 1 meter engraved into that rock. Dirt and rock is removed, and that's how this structure is created. And Aditya ji, you will love this, the description. Now, when Spanish people went there and they discovered this structure, of course, they were locals, and they tried to ask these locals, "Oh, did you build it?" They said, "No, they did not build it." So, do you know who built it? Your forefathers? And they said, "No, our forefathers always said it was always there." So, in fact, if you go backwards, nobody knows who created this structure, when it was created, why it was created. And lo and behold, a structure engraved into some phosphate or some colorful rocks on the west coast of Peru. Why it was done, when it was done, and who did it, we have an explanation in Valmiki Ramayana. Okay, so the description here, as Sugriva is describing that end of his direction there, he's saying, Trishira Kanchanas Ketus Talas Tasya Mahatmana Stapita Parvatasya Virajati Savedikaha.
Parvatasya agre means beyond the parvat.
On the top of a part, I mean, in the front.
Agre means upper part. Yes.
Upper part or on the front, right?
Beyond.
It can be translated in few different ways, right? On the surface of it or something. Trishira, 3 branches.
Correct.
Kanchana, gold.
Golden.
Right?
Yes.
And Stapita Parvatasya Virajati. One more thing, Aditya ji, you're going to love. Savedikaha. Veda Bhumi, like a yajna thing, like a rectangle or a square. If you look at the bottom here, you can actually see the square.
Correct.
It says it is established, Thapita. It is, at the Savedika. There is a rectangle at the bottom too.
Yes.
No, it doesn't stop there. It tells you, so quick translation, sort of a 3-headed golden flag, shining on the top of the mountain with base at the bottom, crude translation. Now, just the next verse. It actually describes what it is. Now it describes who created it and when it was created and why it was created. How beautiful, Aditya ji.
Amazing.
It says Purvasyam Dishi Nirmanam. So
actually,
that's why it was created.
February I'll be in Chile. So I'm going with
beautiful.
The
You'll like it. You'll like it. February, right? So that will be hot. Yeah, that will be nice, actually, just coming out of a summer. Yeah. Where do you know where Santiago? Where are you going?
I'm going with the tribes.
Okay.
Tribe.
Okay. Very
good. Of Santiago.
Yeah. No, you'll enjoy it. Very, very nice.
Beautiful. It is from the new book that I'm going.
Yeah.
Dharmic Americanism.
Okay. And do make it to Valparaiso, and that whole agriculture.
I'll take your guide on that. Yes.
Yeah. It's beautiful. So here is describing like Purvasya Dishi Nirmanam. It's saying why. To establish the east direction. See, today we have this day line, that goes through the Pacific, between Alaska and the eastern part of Russia and avoids the islands and goes through the line. Here it is a reference made to the sort of a end or to demarcate the east direction. So it tells why this was created. Then next one, it is saying when it was created, Aditya Krutam. Okay, now Krutam, some people take it as a made or manufactured, and that's perfectly fine too. But also some people have interpreted that to mean during the Kruta Yuga, during the Satya Yuga. Okay, Tat Tri Dasheshware. Now this is, remember, the east direction, the deity for east direction is considered Indra. So Tri Dasheshware, it was created by Indra, okay, the east direction, to establish his direction during the Kruta Yuga. Tatah para hemamaya Sriman Udaya Parvata. And after, beyond this, there is that hemamaya, like a snow-covered Udaya Parvata, the rise mountain or the rising mountain or the eastern mountain. And is called Udaya Parvata in Valmiki Ramayana.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's the direction. Okay. And
so Udaygiri is the same place.
no, maybe or maybe not. See, what happens, Aditya ji, is, for example, take Mahendra Parvat, for example. There are so many Mahendra Parvat. I mean, right now we know like a 3 or 4 in India. The two very prominent ones we know, one is in like the Tamil Nadu and Kerala border. Even the end of Nilgiri, like Agastya Malai, we can also, that has been also described as a Agastya area or Mahendra Parvat. There is a one Mahendra Parvat in the end of Tamil Nadu there next to Kanyakumari. Then there is a Mahendra Parvat in Odisha. And I have identified few other Mahendra Parvat. They are like a hills, but in India. So similarly, the Udayagiri, see, it's in reference to this, right? So, for example, in Solapur, you can have a Udayagiri, right? If there is a small hill on the eastern part of Solapur, that can be called Udayagiri. So we have to know the name in the context, like which
right.
some other river, some other description should be there.
Just like England and New England. The New England
there you go. Yeah, we shouldn't confuse that. Or when we hear of Baroda, the Baroda and Surat are there in California and Toronto. Yeah. We should not confuse them with in or Pittsburgh, right? Pittsburgh and Amherst and these all places.
There is a city called India also in US.
Oh, is it? Okay. Where is it?
Pennsylvania.
Okay. Yeah. So we shouldn't confuse that. So again, we need a context, right, for that.
Correct.
But what I'm showing you again here, and I'm just only showing this for the east and west direction. So we just define the east direction. And so that to give everyone a right perspective, I want to do this, just this slide and one more slide and I'm done. This is going back to that 14,000 years plus. And notice what is happening. The top northern portion, all the way, there is no England here. Okay. Or there is no Germany or Norway, Sweden. You can see this. This is all under glaciers. Okay. Covered with ice. Okay. That's what is there. So quickly, I want to show you is that the Udaya Parvata is shown as referring to the Andes. Okay. And today we are not going to go there. When we discuss west direction in future, we'll do that. But you will find that the Alps is described in Valmiki Ramayana as a Asta Parvatam or Asta Giri, like what you are saying, Adityaji, Udayagiri. Could be referring to Andes. We should know the context. But Udaya Parvata and Asta Giri, that is referring to Alps. Okay, but we are not going to go there now. Sometimes people may find it confusing. How come it's a rising and Asta right there? Actually, that's very easy to understand because Earth is round, so the rise point is also the sunset point also, right?
Exactly.
In a way. Yeah. So what I did is I just cut the maps and put it in a different fashion, maybe from India as a perspective, India as a center or India somewhere in between. Now you may relate better that the Udaya Parvata is that Andes. And now you go westward, come India in between, and you go further west, and now you can relate to Astagiri. So actually, this is my last slide. So what, in summary, Sugriva has described in Valmiki Ramayana geographical and anthropological and similar descriptions all the way starting from central India, all the way going to Andes in South America. So that's our part 1 of the 4.
Do watch the second part, even becomes more interesting. And I think these are many of our videos, Sattology videos, are eternal in nature because most of them are presented with deep thought. and people can learn a lot from each of the videos. Going back to, we have completed 300 videos almost, and viewers can view each of them, and they will stand the test of time, because most of the information is very carefully collected, and speakers have spoken unlimited wisdom here. So thank you, Nilesh ji. As usual, very, very interesting, and I can't wait to see myself the second part. And it's always a great learning experience. And viewers, if you can show that slide of your books again, please go and look at those books, and it will be very informational for all of you to buy those books and read those books. It is, I think Nilesh ji has done a deep research on that. And I think one of the comments that I get on his videos is that he's the new Muni.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Muni means a scientist, a philosopher. Doesn't mean quiet guy. Quiet means that he speaks only what is relevant. That's what the Muni means. And Narad is one of the topmost Muni we have. And so thank you so much, Neeraj. And viewers, if you like this video, do go to the YouTube. It is going to be launched before the next session. And do comment over there. And sometimes the post production quality is even better than the live one.
True.
And
And quickly, I'll give a highlight for the next time. Next time, we are going to go in the south direction, and we will see how Sugriva describes starting with India all the way to Antarctica, and some
Antarctica.
very fascinating things, unknown things to most people about Antarctica.
So keep watching and keep subscribing, and do go visit our Sattology.org. A lot of good articles are coming. And Nilesh, I also invite you to write over there, create your own login, and publish all your past articles as well. So to keep watching. Thank you and namaskar.
Namaskar.